My gal is a communist spy. She steals all my secrets when I'm eating her pie.
My beau is a heck of a Joe. He lets me steal secrets and then lets me go.
It was March of 1991 when a middle-aged songwriter named Irving Brown met an equally middle-aged singer named Ethel May Bruton. They formed a bond that would last quite a while.
You know, I really can't remember where the name came from. I think Irving may have come up with it.
It was named after us. Ethel was a Limey, and I'm a bastard.
It was the dog's bollocks in that it sounded like they had no idea what they were doing, which just goes to show you how brilliant they were.
I discovered the Limey Bastards back in February of 1992. I was playing at this little pub in Liverpool, and they were playing there, and it was pretty dreadful. And I was fairly liquored up on Guinness, and had a couple of whores that evening that had left me with a nice wonking. And I moseyed down to the bar, and there was this band playing on stage, or you can call it that, thrashing around and whatnot, and kind of making an arse out of themselves.
I thought they had an interesting sound to them. Well, they had a definite shtick, as they call it.
It was sort of hard at first. We were the new kids on the block, yet we were twice as old as the old kids on the block.
No clubs would hire us. The only gigs we could get were playing at funerals. And it takes a lot of work to get those crowds into it.
It's country punk. What the hell? Who the fuck listens to that?
I was a huge fan of the pop band, the Horny Hermits. Once they came on the scene, there wasn't enough room for the Hermits anymore.
Do you like a box? I love bots.
A friend of mine had a bootleg copy of their first album, Cowbells and Suicidal Yells. So he put a couple of songs on a mixtape for me. It blew me away. She's my oppressive dictator.
And she don't understand why I hate her.
It makes me feel so bad.
Took everything I had,
And now we're going to talk to pay it.
I sat through it once, and I listened to it, and I immediately went into the restroom and shat myself half to death. Then I let my daughter listen to the album, and she listened to the album and began convulsing and eventually snapped a neck and died.
It took me a while to get into it. I'm a loyal American. I'm not fond of foreigners, especially those from overseas. This land is my land, this land is your land. This land ain't their land.
It was more about my vocalization, you could say, than my shape. You see, it's hard to explain. When I make love, I make noises that, well, let me just show you. No! No! Excuse me. They kind of sound like an ox.
They had us doing all these metal songs.
Her
mom thinks I'm the devil, 'cause she spoke to me from the grave.
The album sales weren't as good as we had hoped.
I'm a junkie, and they're my drug of choice. After heroin.
It was a tough couple of last years. He was drinking all the time.
She started eating all the time. Bitch.
Asshole.
Asshole.
Bitch. We was playing under this bridge in Manchester when this bird started circling overhead.
This thing was the size of a small plane. At first I thought it was looking for some food, but apparently he'd already eaten. Oh, God! It shat on me. It was the most embarrassing moment of my life.
To this day, he blames me because he thinks I trained that bird to shit on him.
In 2008, after nearly a year of contract negotiations, we did get the two back together again for an album and a concert tour.
Do you love me like I love you?
You bet your sweet ass I do.
If that ain't enough for someone like you. God damn you, bitch! God, son of... You did it to me again, bitch!
She's my reciprocator.
And she don't understand why I hate her.
She made me feel so bad.
It took everything I had.
And now I don't have a pot to piss
in. Woo! Thank you, Shreveport. We love you.
They killed my daughter, ellipses. They killed my only child, ellipses. Exclamation mark.